Absolutely. Dragon Skills is going to be the battleground of our opening map here in this best of 3. In the top left side of Dragon Skills, we are looking at the main base of our Blue Zergi, previously known as Vanya, previously known as Renata. Now we call him Wayne.
Vanetta Wayne. Something like that. It's been a... You know, he really needs a world championship to solidify his name change, man. In the bottom right, our Red Protoss player from the big clan. It is ShoWTimE.
In international gaming, ShoWTimE really has been on fire ever since the EPT points are back on the menu when it comes to the weekly. It's been, I think, 4 out of 5 finals, 1 semi-final. Like, ShoWTimE has just been a monster. Or 3 finals, 2 semi-finals, 1 win, and the 2 times he lost in the final, it was an absolute nail-biter. So it's been very fun to watch D-Mauer do his thing over the last few weeks. And I just kind of wonder if Vanya or Renata or Wayne has a plan here, right? Because I think he knows that if nothing crazy is going to happen, ShoWTimE is going to be better. You let ShoWTimE get up to 160, 170 supply in a competitive game, Wayne is just not going to win, right? That's just not the way that StarCraft is being played. So to make the difference, we kind of got to do it early, and it doesn't have to be ultra early. It doesn't have to be in the first 3 minutes, but it basically needs to happen in the first 10 minutes. And something that I was thinking of is maybe some roaches and swarm hosts. Like, maybe that's something that Wayne can work with here.
Oh, some swarm hosts. I like that. That's fun. I'd be kind of down for something like that, you know. Yeah. Oh, you've piqued my interest, Roddy. I'm excited. You don't think ShoWTimE is just so good against swarm hosts, though? Just, you know, kind of being invited to defend and find the precise moments to counter it? Because I feel like that's the sort of thing ShoWTimE is really good at anyway, and that's kind of the style that swarm hosts provide.
Probably, but ShoWTimE is very good in almost everything at this point in PvC. Like, especially his early game movement with the depths and oracles. I really feel like he has stepped it up to a whole nother level, and he is able to find damage so damn consistently. And if you take a lot of damage, then transitioning into something more complicated like Hydra, Link, Bane, or Lurkers down the line, that just becomes even harder. And then I think it's maybe a bit easier to play a relatively straightforward style, like just an overwhelming amount of units and something that you can spam of 55, 60 drones. Because no matter how much damage you take early on, I think you can always get up to 55, 60 drones and make a big army. So that's just kind of what I think is the best chance for Wayne here.
Absolutely, as our Adept gets a couple of lings to start, just going to shade out, obviously some damage taken. Can't commit further than that. Absolutely no shock at all to see the Stargate down from ShoWTimE, and probably his good old triple Oracle. I mean, ShoWTimE's the kind of player who, if he really believes in a build, he'll just do it 3 times in a row in a series, or 5 times it's a best of 5, and I always remember this because he did it 5 times in a row against Lambo in one of these regional DreamHack playoffs at one point. He was just like, oh, triple Oracle, triple Oracle, triple Oracle. And I was like, surely now nope, triple Oracle. He does not change it up. Yeah, so he really loves this. It gives him a good, safe way to open, a good way to apply pressure at the same time. He's just very good at it, so expecting that out of him, put him in a good spot and just adapt as necessary based on what Wayne wants to do.
The follow-ups is kind of where ShoWTimE is going to change it up, but he also kind of changes it up in his level of commitment, right? To the amount of adapts he makes and how risky he's willing to get with the adapts. Where some games he's just keeping them very safe, and then suddenly in the second game he's a lot more crazy with them and he's willing to jump on top of links, drones. As here in the first game, we have 3 adapts now in the main base, protected by that Oracle. I don't think there really is a whole lot that ShoWTimE can accomplish here, though. I'm feeling the defense from Wayne, as he's going to grab one of these adapts without really losing anything. And losing links, completely okay. Losing drones, something we want to avoid, as those drones are vulnerable, but somehow they live. Well, one of them gets picked up, but no big deal yet. So far, so good for the underdog.
I felt like that Oracle had to stretch out its pulsar beam to zap that drone down. It was just about to get out of the way, and the Oracle just nabs it. Nexus going down on the 3rd base here from ShoWTimE. Again, just comfortable, safe, happy for the moment. We're still kind of waiting to see. Wayne, what's your plan? You know, you've got to have a plan when you come in against ShoWTimE. And so far, it's just defend and play a normal game, and I'm a little bit unnerved, Roddy. Why? Where's the switch up? Where's the change? Where's the wildness that we expect Wayne to bring to the series?
Yep, and so far it's none of that. He is just focused on defending. We even have the Foracle opening, Wardy. I believe you're the creator of the Foracle. as that one is going to make its way over. We have the Forge and the Robo going down on the other side of the map. This is something we touched upon briefly in that previous series, where ShoWTimE is a fan of, oh, cancel please. Yeah, that is the first big mistake for Wayne. No cancel on that hatchery means that we just lost 275 minerals more than we're supposed to lose.
Gonna try and get a catch on these Adepts on the other side, and Oracle's gonna show up, and man, I don't think these Lings are gonna get anything, so that's a big win as well from ShoWTimE, as he just is able to get a few extra Lings for free and extra Adepts showing up. Man, I'm actually a little bit worried. So far, ShoWTimE has lost a single Adept. He's killed a hatchery, 14 Lings, a drone, some creep to go along with it, and he's just dominating the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, ShoWTimE is so good at making it look easy. His early game has really made some crazy progress. One of these Oracles is probably going to get picked off, but in return, a bunch of Queens will fall. The Adepts are having a field day. How many Lings are left at the moment, Wardy? Well, 9 apparently. I don't see them. A couple of them just hatched by the looks of it. Obviously, not too many work has gone done yet, but a few more drones will fall, and the Spire is apparently going to be the crazy thing that Wayne is planning. I like the idea of a Spire. If it's 4 Oracles and a bunch of Adepts into a Robo, obviously if ShoWTimE scouts it, it's probably not going to work. But so far, ShoWTimE, well, technically he scouted it. But this is one of these moments where he saw it, but did he see it, what?
Yeah, you would think if he'd seen it, he would already have Phoenix on the way, right? Just to ensure, because even if you just get 1 or 2 Phoenix up initially, just that couple to start off with goes a long way. Good force fields here do what they needed to protect these sentries and a couple of zealots from the Lings. But yeah, I don't know, man. He's adding on a cannon on just the 3rd base, which isn't too unusual. I feel like he's really not spotted this, man. He's just not reacting to it, at least.
Sentries are actually in a bit of a pickle here. One of the sentries dies, second one dies, a third one dies as well, which means no hallucinated phoenixes, which means maybe ShoWTimE is not going to see that Spire for a little while longer. Now, a single revelation could reveal it, as these Oracles activate Pulse of Beam to grab another Queen. Well, ShoWTimE is honestly not showing us any indication that he knows that Mutas are about to be on the production tab. Now he sees the Spire, right? With these Oracles, he must have seen it, he was so close. Yeah, he saw it, and I cannot imagine a world where now we don't see a reaction, but so far, okay, there is the Phoenix Wadi. Finally, ShoWTimE has put 2 and 2 together, and he knows that it's time to get ready for some Mutas.
Mutalisks on the way, 8 of them building to start. I mean, just the fact you have a bit of a heads up to start building Phoenix goes a long way for you. Cannon for each mineral line as well, just to help you out. The preparation is being made, and you just gotta be careful right now. These Oracles are gonna see the first meter pop, and you're just gonna drop a Revelation, recall the Oracles out of here. Like I say, he's not even gonna go for the Herd Oracle, so that's not exactly ideal either. And a couple of probes going down, some Lings at least finding something. But where are we at already on the Phoenix count? We're at 1, about to be 2. I like it already. Just the fact that we've got cannons and mineral lines as well goes such a long way to helping defend against this.
You know, this is one of these crazy scenarios where I would actually believe that Wayne's best chance of winning this game is doubling down on Mutas and just trying to play like Muta Corrupted Ling. Like, not the best army comp, obviously, but where the Corrupted soak up a couple of the Phoenix shots and you just try to overrun your opponent. Because when it comes to a ground army, I just don't believe that he's ever going to get enough units out to deal with Disruptors, Immortals. Like, just switching back into Roaches right now seems a bit silly. I want to say let's double down on Mutas and let's just try to make some absolute chaos and mayhem happen with Muta, Ling, Bane, and maybe some Corruptors to soak up a couple of these Phoenix shots.
I'm down. I think that's the better shot, right? If your Mutas don't do much and then you try and transition out, I don't think it's going to work against ShoWTimE. But, you know, more Mutas, like I say, play crazy. I think that's the way to find success here, as ShoWTimE defends left side very nicely. Does lose an Oracle on the right, I believe. And just got the Muta count pretty scary at the moment. And these Phoenix have to be careful with how far forward they commit. They can go down very quickly if they get in range of those Mutas, just like this one does.
Yep. It's honestly kind of hard to fight 25 Mutas with just a couple of Phoenixes, especially if you don't have the any Impulse Crystals out of the Fleet Beacon. ShoWTimE is now like, okay, mate, that's a few too many Mutas for me, so he's going to go ahead and drop that second Stargate. Archons are obviously a problem, but this can still get a bit scary for ShoWTimE. We know that ShoWTimE is incredibly good in weathering the storm and surviving, but this is just a crazy amount of freaking Mutas. And the Mutas are starting to get on top of cannons, of an overcharged battery as well, and the Phoenix count is honestly not growing as quickly as ShoWTimE would like to see it grow.
No, now he has gotten through a few of the Mutas, though. The Phoenix continue to do well. Stalker's taking some of the attention. New battery to die a couple of moments at time, perhaps. And this trade continues over in the main base. Now it looks as though Rattata wants to maybe get out of here a little bit. Couple Archons coming through that will just buy a bit more time. On the counter-attack, a few Zealots, but there's massive Lings. There's actually Stalkers here. In fact, everything from ShoWTimE's pretty much just gone across the map. I don't like it, though, and he does recall. He doesn't like it either.
No, I think he was expecting to see barely any ground units, but that was a whole bunch of Lings. Wayne's macro honestly looking quite sexy in this game of 76 drones, not really floating much money, spending it all the time, every single penny he has, still finding a decent amount of Phoenixes. But obviously the biggest problem here are going to be Archons, right? Like, it's okay to not worry too much about the Archons if you're finding crazy economic damage. But so far, Wayne has not found crazy economic damage. He does snipe those Disruptors, and that will maybe allow these Roaches to shine a little bit, as we have a lot of units from Wayne running towards the third base of ShoWTimE at the bottom. But ShoWTime's got a beautiful Sim City there, and warps in a couple of Zealots, keeps the base safe for now, but needs to send way more units over. The supply of ShoWTimE starting to dwindle a little bit. ShoWTimE is having a hard time keeping up with the pace that Wayne is pushing here.
Yep, Wayne dictating the pace and ShoWTimE having to match it, but like you say, just not matching it very well. Muta's taking a lot of aggressive fights into these Stalkers now alongside the Phoenix. I don't like that as much. The Roachling, I mean, there are Archons. If these Archons get shots on anything, it feels like they're going to be amazing. The Mutalisk count is also starting to dwindle a little bit. 15 left isn't the crazy number we have had at points of this game, so maybe a factor there. These Archons now get to show some of their value. ShoWTimE supply still ain't super hot, but, well, Wayne slowing a little bit, starting to build more and more Roaches. He really seems to be done with Mutas. Are we happy with that, Roddy? Do we feel like we've done enough? Are we happy now to go Roaches?
Well, he did, like, how many Phoenix did he kill in this game? 9 Phoenix went down, the Oracles have fallen, a couple of Phoenix are remaining. He did force out the second Stargate, now even +1 air weapons. Right when we talk about it, though, he makes 7 more Mutas, so I'm not totally sure. I think for Wayne, it's just important to keep ShoWTime's supply low. And right now it's 142, which is still the amount of supply where it's kind of hard as a Protoss to always have the units in the correct spot. Wayne just needs to try to keep making this game crazy. He's got a Bailing Nest finishing up, finds another Disruptor. Honestly, I'm feeling this game from Wayne. I don't know if it's enough for the W, but so far it's so good. Now the Muta's going to show up one more time as the Phoenix are lifting Roaches. This is all really cool stuff from Wayne.
Yes, it is. Just going to come back through. The Mutas continue to put some work in. A battery going down. Loads of probes dying. And these Mutas still just kind of sitting here. The couple of Roaches doing well on the ground. And the Phoenix just trying to dodge in and out and in and out. But, man, 30 workers dead and ShoWTimE supply is worse than it's ever been.
Yep, Stalkers do blink forward. ShoWTimE really wants to save this base, but Wayne does what Wayne does best, and that is make an insane amount of units from Lair Tag. Finally, he will bleed out a lot of the Mutas, but his economy has gone completely untouched on the other side of the map. This many Roaches can have a field day against Archons, and this is why it was so important. He picked off a couple of these Disruptors earlier, right? With the Mutas, GG gets called, and a very surprising 1-0 lead here for Wayne after 14 minutes of non-stop battling on Dragon skills. Great macro, man, by Wayne, and just great pace that he was pushing. A really enjoyable game.
Awesome game, man. Like, I mean, he really set the pace. Pace is, I think, a super important word here because that's what it was all about. He was left, he was right. The Mutas were constantly active. There wasn't a moment where the Mutas, like, slowed down or they weren't doing anything. Like, they backed away for the slightest of moments, and boom, he already had an attack on the left, and then the, Mutas were back on the right side too. And Wayne is able to grab the first game. I was going to say, there's been a couple times in these regional events where Wayne has had the better of ShoWTimE, right? And it's been, oh, Wayne got the win in that big round-robin group, and it helped him out to get toward playoffs a bit. But, just with, like I said, kind of form as of late, I really would say that Wayne's dropped off a little bit lately while ShoWTimE's pressed forward. So to be able to come in and not just catch, like, a, oh, ShoWTimE wasn't prepped win, but like a, oh, ShoWTimE got, like, outsped kind of game, that's a little bit crazy. And yeah, ShoWTimE maybe wasn't preparing for Mutas as long as he could have been, but he still would say he had a pretty good heads up on getting started. Like, cannons were up by the time the first attack came through and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I just kind of shocked still as to how that went down and the fact it went down the way it did.
Yep, if ShoWTimE obviously would have seen it the very first time and he did see the building go down, but didn't necessarily put 2 and 2 together and realize it was Mutas, he could have had a slightly higher Phoenix count, and that could have made his life a whole lot easier, because up to that point, obviously the game was going very well for ShoWTimE. But yeah, he just saw it kind of late, and then I don't think he just expected the sheer amount of Mutas that we ended up with, right? He's probably like, okay, 10, 12 Mutas, and then he's gonna go into Roach, Ling, Ravager, Bane, so I'll make a couple cannons, couple batteries, I have some Blink Stalkers, I have Archons if I truly need it. But the Mutas just kept on battling the Phoenix, and Wayne just reset that Phoenix number over and over and over again. So by the time that ShoWTimE finally went double Stargate and +1 air weapons, it was just a bit too late. Things were spiraling out of control, and he even lost a couple of those key disruptors, which would have really came in handy against the Roaches we saw down the line.
Yeah, the moment the Mutas dove in, like, they got kind of 2 disruptors in one volley, I was like, oh man, like, that's when Roaches are really going to start shining. And they really did from there on out. In the bottom right corner, a blue Zerg from Starcom, Wayne.
Sick first game. That's why we call him the Gold Baby. In the top left side of Babylon, we are looking at the main base of the man who's been putting on some impressive results on the board lately, but fights himself down surprisingly 0-1 here. This is Dimar, Berlin International Gaming's ShoWTimE.
Really nice of Wayne, isn't it? Everyone was arguing about who the GOAT is, Rogue, Serral, maybe an odd Maru vote, but, you know, nice of Wayne just to come in and put an end to all that discussion, take the title himself, and, you know, much happier community from here on out.
Undisputed.
Undisputed, man.
No, it's cool. Obviously, Vanya Radata Wayne has just been a fun guy to cheer for a while. Because he plays a bit of that old school Zerg, which often reminds me of Prime Laser as well, where it's not about how strong they are defensively and how good they are in the late game or how amazing the Viper is. Nope, it's like old school Zerg magic. It's a whole lot of units, and let's see what we can get done. And he really is just very good at playing that style. I gotta give him kudos, by the way. He's not bad with the spellcasters. There was a time that it was just really not his cup of tea. And whenever there was Hive Tech, it was like, oh no, this is not gonna go back then Vanya's way. But I feel like he's made some progress with it, and is definitely a bit more comfortable. But I think we can all say that he still does his best work with Lair Tech.
Yes, he definitely is a Lair Tech man. You know, he's almost a European Stu, right? Where Stu is so terrifying of a player. He could kill anybody. But the moment you give that man a Hive unit, like, his skill just depletes. It was like, Stu has one Viper in his army, and suddenly it's like everything falls apart. Macro, gone. Micro, out the window. Wayne has a lot of, you know, similarities, I suppose.
No, absolutely. We have a Stargate going down for ShoWTimE once more. Obviously, ShoWTimE did not lose because of his opening, and some people may think, like, should he switch it up now? No, ShoWTimE is not going to switch it up. This is something that he practices every single game. And when it comes to strategy in RTS, for ShoWTimE, the strategy is not, oh, will I go one gate first, spend Twilight or Stargate? No. The strategy is, how does he position the Adepts? How does he position the Oracles? Do we make 4 Oracles or do we make 2? With this kind of, this is our opening, and we take it from there. That's just the way that ShoWTimE approaches this matchup.
Which is a very fun way to approach it, right? Just set up, be almost the reactionary player in a lot of ways, and just say, you know, you do what you want to do. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to deal some damage, get set up in the macro game. And man, honestly, the opening was so good for ShoWTimE too. He was dealing damage all over. It felt like the Adepts weren't being dealt with properly. We were running out of lings. I mean, there's a point where he had like 9 lings on the map, and there was like 8 Adepts in his main base. And Wayne recovers from that and, you know, makes, you know, not just a game out of it, but takes the game from that point. So, yeah. It's kind of scary, though, because you kind of get reminded then at, you know, the fact Wayne was a bit vulnerable at some points this early game. This time he's going to try and catch these Adepts early, gets us around, and he's going to get at least 1, if not 2.
It's very good for Wayne. Gets 2 out of 3 Adepts, and the Shade got cancelled. That means the last Adept will fall too. And sure, a couple of links went down, but this is a trade that any Zerg will take against Mr. ShoWTimE any day of the week. Because ShoWTimE is terrifying when he's got a bunch of Adepts and Oracles, whether they have glaives or not. Hey, Wayne is feeling it. And I have to admit, by the way, buddy, I didn't even really think about Spire in game 1. But it makes some sense, right? If the opening is 3 Oracles or 4 Oracles, and the follow-up is a Robo, maybe the moment where the Mutalisk can shine in this matchup. Because Blink is late, Phoenixes should be non-existent. Now, of course, ShoWTimE is supposed to scout it earlier, and I don't think it's something that's always going to work for Zergies, but I did kind of like the call from Wayne, and this gives me the idea that he's done his homework, and he came in with a plan, and so far the plan is working out, as now the Oracles are on the other side of the map. The Adepts get surrounded. What is happening, Wardy? ShoWTimE is falling apart here a little bit, and a lot of things are going Wayne's way.
He is doing a lot of damage, just getting on top of Adepts. Oracle's not finding any damage at all, and yeah, like you say, it's going Wayne's way. He's the one that's dominating this match. He's the one that's, you know, leading into this start very convincingly, and man, if Wayne gets the first win in this series, in this group, obviously ShoWTimE drops down. That's going to make for some fun matches down the line, and we're going to have maybe some players get into a 2-0 setup where you maybe wouldn't have expected that. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited to see how these groups work out with the new format and everything. So, upsets are kind of something I want to see kind of how crazy the groups can get, how crazy the matchups can be.
Yep, it's obviously very hard to say how much of an implication a best of 3 like this has, because every player does have 3 lives, and I am not worried for ShoWTimE. Even if he would drop down to the lower bracket here today, or he drops down to the 0-1 group, I guess we can call it. It's not really a lower bracket. I still think he's going to be fine. I think ShoWTimE will pretty much always make it out, but just be an amazing start for Wayne, and it will just create a couple of interesting matchups, right? Where imagine if you go 0-1 after losing to Sarah, you're like, oh, no big deal. And then suddenly you go up against ShoWTimE, you're like, okay, that's just really messed up.
Yeah, it's really going to make someone's life miserable. I'm pretty sure about that. 4 drones going down. ShoWTimE just got to get some necessary damage done. Because, yeah, the start wasn't pretty for him, so getting a few drones puts him in the right direction. Are you ready for this infestation pit, Roddy? Is that what we're mating about?
Yeah, I think that's what we're mating about. Like, roaches and swarm hosts are obviously a lot better on Babylon because of all that terrain. Look at that creep, by the way. What happened? Look at the center of the map.
It's the Adepts,
Wayne!
man.
Oh,
Yeah?
6 minutes and 20 seconds, and he's got Creeptomoist crawling towards the third base of ShoWTimE. Okay, it's going to be a Hydra then. So we're not going to get an Iris Network. We're probably not going to get Swarm Host. It's Ultra Quick Lurkers. Okay.
Okay. I actually think I would have loved Swarm Host with how the game was going. But, yeah, I guess we're going to try Lurkers instead. I mean, if you can get the Lurkers quickly enough, safely enough as well, then actually Stalkers obviously suck against Lurkers, right? You know, the best thing a Stalker can do against a Lurker is to blink away and not look back. But that doesn't help if the Lurkers are pushing on your base and forcing a fight. So, with good creep spread and, super fast Lurkers safely, I kind of like it. I can get behind this, man. There's the Robobay, and that's going to be a major aid for ShoWTimE. Further down the line here, he's going to need that to help him clean these Lurkers out if they do get to good numbers.
Yeah. What's really funny is that for the longest time, even top-tier pro gamers have preferred Archon, Immortal, Zealot, Stalker over Disruptors against Lurkers, and I've always thought that was crazy, right? Like, I know that Vipers are terrifying if you want to rely on Disruptors, but if there are no Vipers, and I do think there are going to be Vipers, I really prefer Disruptors any day of the week. I think there is no better unit against the Lurker than Disruptors if they are not protected by Vipers.
Queens taking a bit of damage here, by the way. Stalker's just come through and it's going to back away. And yeah, man, Lurker Den about to finish. The first Disruptor's coming up. Let's see what ends up happening. Gonna be some
I do
fun
like
trades.
that. I like the Disruptors early from ShoWTimE. I think that's smart, but Wayne not being stubborn, not stuck in 2018. The man will make a couple of Vipers early on. But it's obviously so difficult, right, as a Zerg to protect your Vipers, especially if that's not the unit that really is your bread and butter. ShoWTimE will always be looking for those free pickups with those Blinky boys. There's a bunch of Overlords that are a bit misready. That's going to supply block Wayne, so a little bit unnecessary. There's a lot of battling going on, a lot of just kind of little trades back and forth. A few Stalkers will fall, but obviously a lot of Roaches and Lings are going to fall here as well. Interesting. 75 drones against 68 probes at the moment.
Yep, that work counts a little bit ahead for Wayne. Lurker upgrades coming through. We'll be seeing our first Lurkers very, very shortly. A couple of Vipers to help out here as well. And how aggressive do you think Wayne needs to be with these Lurkers? Is this like a get across the map situation, or can he play some kind of a defensive game, or does that give ShoWTimE too much room to do as he needs against the Lurker setup?
I think the start was sweet, but I want to say over the last minute and a half, not too many things have truly gone Wayne's way, so I kind of think we need to take it safe. Slow and steady, and I think we just need to max out if we are Wayne. And then we can try to get one great fight where we have a bunch of Vipers that are maxed out on energy, and then try to make the magic happen, right? Land those key up docks and move the Lurkers forward. I wouldn't go ASAP with only a couple of Lurkers and 1 or 2 Vipers, because I just don't think it's that easy to get ShoWTimE out of a game.
No. I'm with you on that one. A couple of these Vipers, well, one of them is not very high on energy at all, but it does have a little bit of energy. Should have a blinding, an abduct soon.
Whoa.
Actually lose a Viper very quickly. Now we blinding Cloud Disruptor. That one gets abducted. Lurkers do get to fight during this. Obviously, the blinding Cloud pushes the Stalkers forward into these Lurkers a little bit. Oh, new Disruptors are going to be an issue. There was not a Viper left over. And these Lurkers, I mean, if there's a time to go, it would be kind of now when Disruptors are somewhat on cooldown. We're going to get further forward here. First disruptor shot right side, but there's no follow-up. And the second disruptor gets killed. That's massive. The lurkers live. And for the moment, we continue to go, but the oracles actually get to activate, but there's a lot of probes going down here.
That overcharge so important, by the way, keeping all these stalkers alive. A few more Novas show up. ShoWTimE has lost 11 probes, lost the War Prism in the main base as well. Wayne had a lot of units stuck in the middle line in the main base to deal with that Prism. Look at his main. Now the Lurkers and Hydras are leaving town. Wayne did a lot of things right there, but it was just a bit unfortunate for him that he was fighting in that overcharge towards the end, because without the overcharge, I think a whole bunch of those stalkers would have melted. But we are still looking at a 53 army supply lead for our Zerg that came into this series as a heavy underdog. We've got 5 lurkers out on the map, 6 more coming. It's 11 lurkers soon against 4 disruptors. The only problem is, though, he lost the Vipers. Wadi, like, can we attack into 4 disruptors with 0 Vipers?
I want to say no, but maybe if you come from enough directions and the first couple of disruptor shots do okay, the Lings are going to run into the disruptors. Oh my goodness, some big shots going off. That Archon can't come soon enough, but will it even get up? Nope. That's not going to be good. We're just going to have ourselves really in trouble again from ShoWTimE, perhaps, as Lings now controlling. All the disruptors are dead, and now the Lurk is going to be better than ever. ShoWTimE is going to tap out, and Wayne wins 2-0.